All right, are we ready to start? Okay. Yes. Okay, well, let's make sure all the buttons are turned on, audio, video, record. Okay, so we're good. Okay, let's start. Thank you, everybody, for coming out to the International Market Environment for Entrepreneurs. My name is Lon Safko, author of the Fusion Marketing Bible, also the Social Media Bible, and now recently the Innovative Thinking Bible. And I'm going to be your host today and be presenting International Marketing Environment for Entrepreneurs. I'd also like to thank the Moscow Business College for hosting this event. They've done a really great job in the previous events that we worked together, and I'm really glad that you're here. So let's jump right into it. I know you're excited about this. I want to set the expectation for this presentation. This is a series. So far, we've done 3 webinars in this series, and we discussed the international entrepreneur world, trends, marketing. We really covered a lot of material. So when they asked if I would do one just on marketing, my first comment was, we did a lot on marketing. So if you want to know what the trends of international marketing for entrepreneurs, take a look at the 2 previous webinars. What you're going to see here today is something that no one in your country has ever seen. It's called Fusion, that helps us maximize everything that we're doing in international marketing, because today marketing is more difficult than it has ever been in the history of marketing. It's also more expensive than it's ever been. So we need to have some kind of a process, a tool, a way to be effective and efficient. The concept, fusion marketing, what that means is fusing all the different tools that we have available to us all into one cohesive, coherent, intelligent marketing plan. Now, these marketing plans can be an overall marketing plan for your business, for a client's business. It could be a quarterly marketing plan. It could be a product launch marketing plan. So keep in mind that as you're developing marketing plans, there isn't one size fits all. You can do it specifically just for one campaign, or you can do it for an entire year. The concept that you're about to see, fusion marketing, actually in the United States is patent pending, which means that there's some intellectual property rights associated with this. Our government believes that this concept is good enough that it could be awarded a patent. So I'm excited about that. Now, I want to talk about critical concepts, really the foundation of what you need to understand before we talk about any type of marketing. First of all, there's 3 different types, and I bet that surprises you. There's traditional, digital, and social. Let's talk about traditional. Traditional has been around forever. Actually, it's been around for 6,000 years that we've been a society and been selling things. It's the things that you're all familiar with: television, radio, newspaper, direct mail, brochures, mostly printed, but a lot of it has to do with television and radio. Right now, traditional marketing, because social marketing, social media has become so prevalent worldwide, has kind of diminished the effectiveness of traditional marketing. As you know, the reach on television, newspaper, and magazines are very, very low, but yet the costs still remain high. And that's because of the distribution costs. So if you're going to do any type of traditional marketing, you really have to consider the cost versus the reach. Now, the reason that there's 3 different categories here is traditional marketing has always been considered push marketing. We have a message, we push it out to our customers, and we keep our fingers crossed that people are getting the message. Our prospects are hearing it and converting to customers. So we push it out. It's kind of a one-way communication with our customers. Now, when over the last 10, 15 years, the internet has given us the ability to communicate to larger and larger audiences worldwide, audiences. And we then developed two other categories, digital and social. Let me explain the difference. Digital marketing is all the things that don't require or don't anticipate a two-way communication, a dialogue. Traditional marketing is a monologue, one person talking out with no expectations of information coming back from the prospects or clients. Social is two-way communication. Digital is technology-based marketing. Let me get into more detail on that. Digital are things like web pages, SEO, search engine optimization, SEM, search engine marketing, RSS, really simple syndication. These are all things that as marketers we have to be very aware of, and we have to be able to perform for ourselves and for our clients. So we need to be aware, but remember, these are based on internet technology or mobile technology, but it doesn't require two-way communication. When you create a really good web page, that doesn't allow people necessarily, unless it's a blog, to have that two-way communication. Social media, on the other hand, that's the key. That's what changed everything over the last 10 years. That implies two-way communication. You put something out on Facebook, you expect it to be liked, shared, commented on. You put something on LinkedIn, you expect it to be commented on. You write a blog, you expect comments. So to recap, traditional is a monologue. It's push information. Digital and social are both based on internet and marketing. Digital is technology-based, but doesn't require communication with your customers and prospects. And social absolutely has this two-way communication component. Got it? Very, very important. And that red arrow on the bottom, everything that we do must lead to revenue. As marketers, as entrepreneurs, every single thing we do has to lead to revenue. Otherwise, stop doing it, because you're spending money and time and resources, but you're not seeing any rate of return on that investment. There is no return. Now, I have this slide here because so many people are calling themselves social media experts. The truth is, if you're just a social media expert, you're telling me that you only understand half of what is necessary to market in today's global economy. And what I mean by that is that if you're an expert on social media, you probably are not proficient at SEO, SEM. You probably don't even know what that means. And more than likely, you're not very good at traditional marketing. Today, more than ever, if you're going to have a successful company, a successful product, a successful service, and you're going to market it successfully, you have to use all of those components. Every single one of them completely integrated, or as I say, fused, fusion marketing. Now, here's a saying that every marketer in the world has heard before. Everyone thinks that it might have been Ogilvy in New York on Madison Avenue. And the saying is, I know that half of my advertising isn't working. I just don't know which half. Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Everybody's faced with that problem. I know that half of my advertising is completely useless. I'm spending all that money on it, but I'm not seeing any return on that investment. It's just not working. But I don't know how to figure out what's working and what's not. This presentation is going to help you figure that out. And by the way, it wasn't Ogilvy on Madison Avenue in New York. It was Lord Leverhulme. Yeah, believe it or not, he was one of the the brothers that founded Lever Brothers, which is now Unilever, which is one of the largest brand companies in the world. So he probably knew what he was talking about when he said, I don't know which half of my advertising is working, which half isn't. So what I wanted to do for us entrepreneurs and small businesses is to come up with some kind of a system, because we don't have a lot of time and a lot of money to throw at advertising that doesn't work. And we know that half of it is a waste of our time and money. So I created a system, this fusion marketing. And the first thing I did is I started with the center starburst. That center little bumpy thing is called a starburst. If you're a marketing person, you should know that. And I put traditional marketing. That's something that we're all comfortable with. We've been around it all our lives, even ever since we were children. And what I did is I took the top 20 tools that we use. Here's another critical concept. All of those are tools. They're not strategies. A newspaper ad is not a strategy. You have to have a strategy that goes into the newspaper, but the newspaper itself is a tool. The radio is a tool. So I put the top 20 tools and I just kind of made these little cards and I spread them around this wheel. And then I looked at it and I was like, okay, nothing special. I don't really see anything jumping out at me. But then all of a sudden I realized, wait a minute, if I'm going to work on my marketing plan, my product launch, a client, I need to look at every single tool available to me in traditional category. I need to look at presentations, like I'm doing here today, coupons, print ads, catalog, and I need to ask myself the question, do I want to participate in direct mail? Is the return on investment high enough on direct mail for this particular marketing plan, product launch, quarterly marketing plan? But what I want to do is have available to me all the possible tools in traditional so that I can make a logical decision whether or not I want to use that particular tool. You see what's happening here? You could never remember all of those 20 tools. And what most entrepreneurs and other businesses do, they do what they did last year. They throw more money at it and they hope that it's going to be more successful this year. Well, if it didn't work last year or last time, it's not going to work this time. So I want to do my marketing deliberately and not accidentally. I don't want to do what I did last year. Albert Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing the same way and expecting different results. But that's what we do as marketers. So this image here was a big help to me. I could then keep one of the cards or I can flick it away. I could move it off the desk. But I make a conscious decision to either keep it or to get rid of it. That was really big. And it turned out, as I work with clients, everything from small businesses to Fortune 500 companies around the world, it works the same. You make conscious decisions. Now, after looking at this, I'm about kind of relationships. How does one thing affect something else? Is there a relationship? So I'm looking at this image, trying to see if there's something that I might have missed, some kind of a relationship. And I'm looking at it and I pick, let's pick the two worst ones on there. Coupons and business cards. Yeah, coupons are marketing tools. Business cards are marketing tools. Probably the two worst tools that we can have. Coupons, as you know, are a way to reduce the price or cut your profits on a product to get a new customer or prospect to try your product, hoping that they'll come back and buy that product again. But we all know the reality is that your customers who already know about your product and already buying them, they're the ones that are using the discounts. So you're giving away profit to people that would be willing to pay full retail. So that's why I got a kind of a problem with the whole coupon thing. And business cards, I don't know anybody who could actually say, as a result of having a business card, I made a sale. But we do have to have them. They are useful marketing tools. So the question I had was, is there a relationship between a coupon and a business card? Well, unless you slipped in the shower this morning and hit your head, nothing. I mean, there's no relationship between a coupon and a business card. Then I thought about it. What if on the back of my business card, I put a little QR barcode and some text and said, hey, give me a call and I'll spend a half an hour with you on the phone and answer any questions that you have about marketing. And I'll do that for free. Wow, how cool is that? And maybe a barcode where all you have to do is point your phone at it and it automatically dials my office number. Free barcodes will do that. So it's actually like putting a coupon on the back of a business card. So the question is that if you give someone your business card and they find it the following day, a week later, and here it is, says, give me a call and I'll spend time with you and answering questions and it won't cost you anything. Do you think that that had any effect on your business? Do you think you can increase revenue by doing that? Of course you can. Absolutely. That's a great tool. Now, who would ever think of putting coupons and business cards together? Well, certainly nobody. And that's why this thing is so powerful. So by putting a coupon on the back of a business card encourages people to contact you, to buy your product, to question your service. It increases your revenue, but there's no additional cost. You're already doing the coupons. You're already doing business cards. You're already paying for these marketing tools. But now you're getting much more effectiveness out of each of those tools just by combining them, which you never would have thought of before, increases your revenue, and absolutely no additional cost to you as a marketer. That's the power of this. That's fusion marketing. Isn't that cool? Now, what if you can reverse it? Can I put business card information on a coupon? Well, most coupons have a web page that goes to the home page. Well, if you have a specific question about a specific product and you're holding a coupon, why would you ever want to go to the corporate web page? It would take you days with hamburger menus and drop-down menus that don't work, trying to find that particular product, and eventually you'll get angry and you'll leave and you won't buy that product. But what if instead of putting the home page on there, what if you put a direct link and maybe even a barcode again, so that anybody who has a question about that product can go directly to that web page? What if instead of putting the 800 number or your main telephone number, what if you put somebody's direct line on that, so that if a customer had a question, they didn't go to the receptionist and then get misdirected and hung up on and disconnected, that they actually went to someone who understood that product. So by taking business card information and putting it on a coupon, it now improves the effectiveness of that coupon. Do you agree? So that means that it's also going to increase revenue at no additional cost. OMG, look at this. So that's fusion marketing. That's the heart of it right there. First of all, being able to look at all the tools in one place, make a conscious decision which ones you're going to keep and which ones you're going to discard, and then connecting and reverse connecting every tool on there. Now, you can pick any tool and connect it to any other tool. At first, it's going to be difficult because your brain doesn't work that way. But promise you, I absolutely promise you, that if you think about it long enough, you will figure out a way that no matter which tools you connect, it will increase your revenue at no additional cost. You can start at the top and say print ads. How do I connect print ads and catalog? How do I connect print ads and brochures? How do I connect print ads and direct mail? And you work way around the wheel. Then you go to catalog. How do I take my catalog and connect it with brochures? How do I take my catalog and connect it with direct mail? Wow, isn't that cool? And if we did nothing else in this webinar, that would be enough for you to go away, think about, and actually implement and generate more money. So we fuse all these different items. And you can do it this way. Draw circles between the two with arrows, and then reverse those arrows. You can imagine my next excitement was, what do I do with social media and digital tools? That's got to be really cool, because connecting and interconnecting things on the internet, I mean, that's the whole definition of the internet. So I created this wheel. Very, very simple. It's the top 20 things that you can do using the internet for marketing in both digital and social. So I put those top 20 things around the wheel. Again, when I'm working with a client or working with my own company, I can sit down and look at this and say, okay, microblogging, which essentially is Twitter. Yes, I'll keep that one. Podcasting. You know, for this product launch, I don't think I'm going to do podcasting. Push it away. Gaming, no. In-game advertising, let's push that away. Virtual worlds, no. Artificial reality, no. Let's push that out of the way. RSS, yeah. Email, absolutely. Again, I can look at this entire category of technological tools and make a conscious decision of whether or not I should keep that tool or discard it. I'm doing my marketing deliberately and not by mistake. And then you know where we're going to go next. We're going to start fusing these. Wow, how cool is that? So let me give you an example. I'm going to show you Virtual World's Second Life, and you're going to say, what is wrong with this guy? Second Life hasn't really been popular since like 2011. Well, the truth is that over the next several years as marketers, you have to pay attention to this. Get your pencil and write this down. Internet of Things is going to affect us as marketers, even though it's technology, but it's going to affect us in our ability to market. Artificial reality, virtual worlds, Second Life, that's going to become more and more part of reality, especially now that Google Glass and Ocular and a lot of these other technologies are getting better. Artificial intelligence is absolutely huge. Chatbots and other type of artificial. I just installed artificial intelligent chatbots on both of my websites, and so far I'm getting great results. And then augmented reality. Those four things are going to be critical. So I'm not embarrassed that I've probably spent 1,000 hours designing inside of Second Life, virtual world, artificial reality. I don't feel bad at all, because as that technology becomes part of marketing, I'm going to understand it better than anybody, and you need to be aware of it as well. Don't discount it. So the question is like virtual reality and web pages. Can I connect those two? Well, actually I did, and I saw amazing results. On my web pages, I never mentioned that I was on Second Life. In Second Life, I never draw people to my keynote and my training websites. So on my webpage, I put a little image of me inside of Second Life, my avatar, and I saw a 400% increase of traffic in Second Life within the first 24 hours. Second Life, I put a big framed image inside my office, virtual office, that, hey, check me out for keynotes and training, and I do it internationally. I saw a 180% increase in traffic to my website. See, because I never would have thought of putting those together. It never crossed my mind. They were just two completely different marketing tools. So by having this image in front of me, I can consciously decide which ones are important and which ones aren't. And when I decide on the ones that I know that are going to be important for this particular marketing campaign, I can then connect and reverse connect. Now, is that cool or what? So, of course, you know where I went next. I took all of the tools from traditional, all the digital, and all the social, and I jammed them all onto one wheel. And it kind of looked like this. Can you imagine how many great ideas you can uncover by connecting these and reverse connecting every one to everything else? Well, what would happen is your head would explode, because that's how many possible connections there are. Yeah, 40 factorial comes out to that number. Way too much. You could never do that under any circumstances. Okay, so we got to figure out, how are we going to fix this? Well, we got to prioritize. We got to look at cost of customer acquisition. Cost of customer acquisition is, how much did your company spend? What were your total expenses last year? And how much did your company make? And then, and how many customers did it generate? Divide the total amount you spent by the total number of customers, and your company had to spend that much money for each one of the customers that you gained this last year. You can see that that number is very high, staggering and upsetting. Cost of customer acquisition. You should understand this concept and apply it to every single tool. If you do radio advertising, you need to track it so that when that radio campaign starts and finishes, you can track the number of customers, take the total cost of that campaign, divided by the total number of new customers, and that's how much it costs you to gain one customer using that tool. And what you're going to see is these numbers are going to vary a great deal. They're all going to be very high and very disappointing. Right now, the first time you use it, you're going to just have to go on instinct. Just decide based on your previous experiences. We all know television is probably the most expensive, the least return. We know that. So we're probably going to take that out, especially if you're an entrepreneur. So go around the wheel based on your previous experiences. You're going to prioritize, which also means you're going to eliminate. You're going to flick away cards that aren't important for this campaign. Just get down to the ones that are the most important. You have to measure everything. That's the wonderful thing about the internet. It gives us the opportunity to measure every single thing that we do. Everything goes through a server, everything is tracked, everything can be monitored. I can tell you how many people looked at a particular web page on a given day at a specific time from a specific geographic location. That is absolutely amazing. So there was another famous saying, you can't manage what you don't measure. And that's absolutely true. If you're throwing money at something, but you're not measuring it, you don't know whether you're throwing it for good or you're throwing it down the drain. So you have to learn to measure everything. That gets back to the cost of customer acquisition. And of course, I'm throwing in A/B testing because that today is more important than anything. So you have to know where the money is best spent so that you can prioritize all the tools that you have available. Once you do this, you're going to end up with not 40 different tools, which is unmanageable, but you'll end up with 8, 10, 12 really good tools that you have proven are going to be effective for your company, your product, your service, either based on experience or based on actual measurement, which is what I strongly encourage. And now you're going to end up with a wheel something like this. Now, here comes the sweet spot. This is the best part of it. You got the best tools, conscious decision, measured, cost of customer acquisition. These are the best. Now start interconnecting them. How do I use brochures to increase my Twitter feeds? How do I use coupons at presentations? How do I use presentations to increase my email? Let me give you an example. I use my presentations to increase my email list because you can get all these slides, and I strongly encourage, especially in this presentation, to get these slides so that you can do this yourself and practice it. Well, in order to get the slides, I get your email address, and you can opt out anytime you want. I'm all about the new European Union and the US laws. I respect your privacy, but it increases my email list. So simply by connecting presentations and email, I'm doing them both anyway, I increase the effectiveness of both. I'm giving you more value and I'm increasing my email list. This is fusion right here. Now, fasten your seatbelts. I'm going to take you down the rabbit hole. I'm going to show you something that you're not going to believe, but it is so cool. The image that you see in front of you is called a fractal image. And Benoit Mandelbrot invented it in the 60s. He worked for IBM, and he was a mathematician. And they were using computers to plot mathematic formulas. And I know you've seen this image before. You drill in, drill in, drill in, and the image reappears. Or you go out, go out, go out, and the image reappears. It's a self-replicating image. Very, very, very complex. That's what kind of prompted me to say, can I use this fusion tool to zoom in and get more results? Okay, so here's our wheel. This is the very best traditional, digital, social. It's all on one wheel. It's all in front of us. This is the tools that we spent quite a bit of time determining are the best possible tools for us. So now the question is, can I zoom in? Can I use this fusion marketing tool to get more information so that I can develop a more detailed, a more comprehensive marketing plan? Okay, so let's say, for example, social networks. You see it down there in the lower left-hand corner. It's only one of the tools that we chose. We know that social network marketing is extremely important. What if I took social networks, just slid all the other tools out of the way for now, and put social networks in the center of that starburst, in the center of the wheel? I want to focus on social network, part of my marketing plan. So what can I do with that? Well, if you put social networks in the center, the first question is, what are the top 10 social networks in your demographic area that are the largest? Now, these are the top 10 in the United States, probably fairly similar. There's going to be a few different ones in Russia. Do you even know what the top 10 are in Russia? Can you name them? I couldn't name them because they change all the time. But you can Google it. Just Google top 10 social networks. How cool is that? Now you know the actual networks that you have to participate in if you agree that social network marketing should be part of your plan, which you already did. So this forces you now to continue this process with making conscious decisions of whether that tool is effective for this type of a marketing campaign, or if it isn't, delivered, not by accident. So should you market on Facebook? Yeah. How about Instagram? Maybe your product or service doesn't lend itself. Maybe your demographic, particularly age, doesn't participate in Instagram. That's generally skewed towards a younger audience. WhatsApp. WhatsApp is huge outside of the United States. In Asia, oh my goodness. In India, absolutely. In the Middle East, yes. Parts of Europe, not the United States. Nobody uses WhatsApp in the United States. So if I was doing the marketing campaign in Moscow, I may keep that in. If I'm doing the exact same campaign in the United States, I'm going to take that out. So how cool is this? It now forces you to look down deeper into social networks to determine the top 10 and then to make a conscious decision which ones are appropriate and which ones aren't. Can we do this one more time? Are you okay with that? Keep your brain going. Just hang in there. Now, what if we took one of the social networks and put it in the center of the wheel and started asking more questions? Oh, and of course, you can interconnect before we even do that. Are you using LinkedIn to drive people to your email list on your emails that you send out? Are you asking people to connect with you on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter? On Twitter, are you sending out tweets to friend you on Facebook? You have to interconnect everything. Imagine if you used every social tool that you participate in to drive people to all your other social tools, and you had all this cross connection. Wouldn't that be amazing? How effective and how fast you would build your following? You can do a campaign just to increase your Facebook. What if you used all your tools just to drive friends to Facebook? What if you used all your tools just to make more people connect with you on LinkedIn or follow your tweets? This thing is just amazing. Okay, let's take Facebook, put it in the center of the wheel. And now, what are we going to ask ourselves? What are the top 10 best practices that businesses are using for Facebook? Again, they change all the time. Every time Facebook changes a rule or the way they sell us advertising or the way they mess with our privacy or sell our information, all of these change. So Google top 10 best business practices for Facebook. Now you look at this, you say, oh my gosh, I never thought of that. Or, wow, that's a great way to get to our customers. Or, yes, we're already doing it, but maybe we could do a better job. So you see how this fusion part, the fractal part, this is fractal fusion. We start with all the best tools that we consciously made a decision. We then take each of the tools one at a time, put it in the center, look at the top 10 largest platforms. Then we take each of those, put them in the center one at a time, and ask what are the top 10 best business practices. You see how simply by moving the cards around and answering the questions that it asks, that you actually can create the most comprehensive marketing plan that you've ever seen in your life, and you're doing every bit of this and increasing the effectiveness of everything you do without spending any additional money whatsoever. It's just making us look at all of this differently. Let's take one other example. Let's do a traditional tool, just so that you don't think I'm messing with you by only doing internet tools. What if you took just customer service? Well, there isn't the top largest customer service, but there still is the top 10 best practices. So if you think that customer service is important to your marketing plan, which by the way it is, they can turn more prospects or angry customers back into paying customers than your sales team could ever. Because you've heard the old saying that happy customers will tell 7 people, unhappy customers will tell 15 people. That was true in the 90s, but it's not true any longer. An unhappy customer will not tell 15. They'll tell 15,000 or 150,000, or on YouTube, 1.5 million people that they're unhappy with you. Customer service is important. So what are the top 10 best practices? You probably at least ought to be aware of those. and include them in your marketing plan, or deliberately not. Cool, huh? So now you can also combine all of that. What if you took Facebook and customer service and fused those? See how creative you can get? What if on your customer service hold line, you reminded people to go over and friend you on Facebook? What if you had a page on Facebook that had the top 10 frequently asked questions, FAQs, of all of the questions that your customers might have about your product? Maybe that'll cut down the telephone calls because they're on Facebook anyway. So even at these levels, you can still totally connect and interconnect. You okay? Okay, only one more concept, and then I'm going to open it up for questions. We doing all right? Okay. Yes. Why power of yes twice? Okay. The most important thing that you need to summarize any marketing plan, again, it could be an annual plan, a quarterly plan, it could be a product launch, it doesn't matter. Whatever you're using your marketing for, because remember, marketing is no more than communication. It's a communication plan that goes out to your customers and your prospects with the intent of generating more revenue, whatever that, how you're going to define it. But you always need a strategy. Now, I want you to just take a moment. I want you in your head or out loud, just tell me the definition of strategy. Go ahead. Everybody knows strategy. I mean, everybody knows it. It's the most important thing in business. You always have to have a business strategy or a marketing strategy. Go ahead, define it. Give me a really clear, concise sentence that nails what the definition. Yeah, you can't do it, can you? No, it's going to have objectives and goals and tools. It's going to have all these random words, but it's not going to really make sense. I'll bet you nobody out there can define it. And the reason is I was defining strategy my whole career, but I got it wrong. I wasn't really getting it right either. The reason is strategy isn't a thing. It's the sum total of all these other things. It's like the word synergy. Synergy is where the sum of the parts is greater than the parts of the sum. I don't even know what that means, but it's like synergy. Strategy is the sum total of objectives, tools, and tactics. Objectives, tools, and tactics. Now, let's take a look at that. First of all, I know that probably 3/4 of you use the word goals, setting goals. Goals has nothing to do with strategy. I want you in your marketing brain to take the word goal and throw it away. Yeah, I said it. Get rid of the word goal. Goal is an arbitrary number set by management to demoralize salespeople. Yeah, it's just to demoralize you. When you hear, okay, you had a really good quarter. Now, we would like to see a 2% increase in revenue for the next quarter. Based on what? If you did the best job that you could possibly do, where is the logic in having to increase your best quarter by an additional 2%? See, a goal is simply a number that management gives salespeople to demoralize them. It's ridiculous. It's not part of a marketing plan. Yeah, you should set goals that makes the corner office happy, but it really doesn't figure in here. So let's just set that aside. Strategy. The first most important component of strategy is objective. Objective. What do you want your communication tools to do? What do you want to accomplish with all of these marketing tools that we just spent the whole part of this webinar coming to the very best tools at the very deepest level? Now that you have this amazing tool set, what do you want to do with them? What are you trying to accomplish? Yeah, you want more revenue. No. If you're effective at communicating, you will make more revenue. But making more revenue is not an objective. That's what happens when you achieve your objective. Does that make sense? You can't say more revenue because now you can't tell me how are you going to get from here to more revenue. What are the steps? So that doesn't work. So what I want you to do when you're creating a fusion marketing plan is to come up with 3 to 5 really, really good objectives. Now, let me show you the ones that I picked for last year. These are objectives. These are things that I want my communication to accomplish that makes sense, because I can then define how I can use my tools to accomplish these objectives. Increase my email list. You heard me earlier say that I use presentations to increase my email list, whether it's a webinar, whether it's a 2-day training, or whether it's a keynote. I give people my slides, my intellectual property, but they get better takeaways, they get better value, and I get an email address. That works out pretty good for everybody. So that's an objective. I want to keep that email list constantly building, because, as you know, there's opt-outs and there's subscriptions. I want the subscriptions to exceed opt-outs. Drive more attendance to my presentations. Yeah, how can I use my communication tools to get more people to my webinars, to get more webinars, to get more keynotes, to get more training sessions? Well, that's a really good objective. It makes sense. Can I use my communication tools to get more presentations? Yeah, absolutely. Perform more webinars. I use my communication tools. That's how I got in front of you today. How cool is that? So it must be working. International presentations in particular. I love doing international presentations. So how do I use my tools to do that? And how do I use my tools to promote my book? I don't make a lot of money on the book, but it's a great way to get my name out in front of people and my credibility, so that will act as a marketing tool to actually drive more presentations, more webinars, more keynotes. Kind of cool, huh? So those are my 5 objectives that I picked. Pick 3 to 5, and you'll see why. Don't pick any more than that, because you won't have the time or the money or the resources to handle more than 3 to 5. We'll see why here in a second. Okay, so let's take the very first objective and put it in the center of the wheel. Do you see that pattern forming? Let's take that first objective, put it in the center of the fusion starburst. And what's the next component of strategy? Tools. I need tools. Remember the definition of tools: traditional, digital, social. Where can I find a really good, deliberate, thought through, measured, cost of customer acquisition, absolutely deliberate set of tools that would work for my marketing plan? Well, how about everything that we've done up until now? What if you take all those tools that you now feel 100% confident are absolutely the best possible tools, and now use them here? Okay, so that part of your plan is already done. Here it comes. Here it comes. Here's the best part. How can you use each of those tools to accomplish that objective? So, for example, you look in the upper left-hand corner, you'll see presentations. How can I use presentations to increase my email list? Do you see that because the objective is logical, it's sound, that sentence makes sense? How can I use presentations to increase my email list? Well, I just explained that. I can give you the slides in exchange for your email list. How can I use print ads to increase my email list? Well, put a QR barcode on the print ad, or just put a bit.ly link, a shortened link to, not to your homepage, but to your email sign up. Because maybe part of your overall campaign is to increase your email list, so that later we can use this larger email list to do bigger things: increase Facebook, increase Twitter, drive people to a web page. Wow, how about that? What if you use print ads to increase your email list simply by putting a bit.ly code, a shortened code that drives people to the email sign up and nothing else? Would that have any effect? Of course it would. So what happens is, by taking one of your objectives, putting it in the center of the fusion wheel, putting the best tools all the way around, start with any tool and ask the question: how do I use print ads to increase my email list? How do I use my catalog to increase my email list? How do I use brochures? And you simply go all the way around. And guess what? The answers to those very simple questions, that's your tactics. So now you have a strategy. You have a strategy, you have sound objectives, you have the best possible tools, and now your tactics are answering themselves by using this system. Isn't that amazing? Now, once you go all the way around the wheel, go get number 2, get your second objective. Put that in the center of the wheel. Keep everything else the same, all your tools are the same, and ask the question, how do I use print ads to drive more attendance to my presentation? How do I use and go all the way around and ask all those same questions. And look at all these great ideas that pop out. The reason I said don't have more than 3 to 5 objectives is because if you have 20 tools and 5 objectives, you are going to now generate 100 amazing, effective ideas that are absolutely guaranteed to work that you never would have thought of. If you record all those 100 ideas, put that down, and then you're going to need to prioritize. Could you imagine a system that's going to give you so many good ideas that you're actually going to have to spend time to prioritize the best ones because you don't have time to implement all the great ideas? That's the power of this marketing tool, Fusion Marketing. That's it. So your strategy becomes your 3 to 5 objectives multiplied times the 20 or so tools that you've chosen and the tactics that come out of it, and then prioritized. Now, that's why I said all of that is your strategy. Your marketing plan is complete. There is nothing that you could possibly think of that hasn't come out of this system. That's the power of the system. Isn't that cool? I've used it on so many companies. I've used it on my own company, and it just rolls out. The ideas just flow. It works if you're a one-person entrepreneur. It works if you're an intrapreneur, meaning an entrepreneur inside of a large company. You can do this with a team. You can do it with one person. It just works. How cool is that? Okay, I'm going to open it up to some questions. Let's see what we got. Let's see, why power of yes twice? I don't know what that means. Whoever wrote that, why the power of yes twice, if you could just explain that a little bit. It's a plan of actions. Yeah, and it's a tool that takes you step by step, makes you look at all the possibilities, not just the ones that you remember or the ones that you did last year, but it makes you look at everything. It forces you to make a conscious decision of what you should keep and what you shouldn't keep. Wow, there's never been a tool that done that. Then once you prioritize, it's a tool that now you can't make a mistake. It forces you to look at the connections between each of the tools that you've chosen. It forces you to combine those together into a tool set that is absolutely perfect. Then it allows you to take each one of those tools and drill down as far as you want, and as many times with as many tools as you want, so that you thought through and it's 100% comprehensive. There's never been a tool that allowed us to do that. Then, the very end, when it all comes together, you create 3 to 5 objectives, use everything that you've developed so far, and then just answer the questions, and you can create 100 very, very effective tactics. So yeah, it's a plan. Go step by step. Colleagues prepare questions for the speaker. Yeah, hey, you got me as a free consultant. Think about that. I charge a lot as a consultant, and I'm here for you for free. So ask your questions. What kind of questions do you have? You have to have a lot of questions. There was a lot of information. Let me remind you also that Moscow Business College provides these presentations, these webinars, both in English and Russian, on a website on demand. Go look at the other 2 that we've done together on international entrepreneur marketing and business, because there's a lot of marketing stuff in there. And then you're going to want to replay this one several times as well. And .com, click on Get Access. I'm going to send you a password. Go to log in, and then this presentation, all of the slides as a PDF, are going to be available for free. So with these slides and the actual recording, you should be good to go. You should be able to use this system. Let's see, one of your presentations was Power of Yes, and 2, Power of Yes. Was it this presentation? Because I don't remember the power of yes. I'm sorry. I mean, yes is very powerful. There's no question about it. But I don't have the context, so I'm sorry. So if you can put it in context for me, I'm happy to answer that. Otherwise, let's get some more questions going. We still have just a few more minutes before we wrap this up. And of course, if you go to lonsafko.com and you have questions that you think of after this presentation is over, feel free to email me. Just use the contact form on my Lon Safko website. Any other questions? Okay, we're going to count it down here. Also, keep in mind, it doesn't have to be questions about fusion marketing. It could be on any subject whatsoever. And the series is about being an international entrepreneur, the big picture. Okay, hello, thank you for this interesting tool. Please say how you will measure ROI in digital advertising if you will not have a tool sales on your website. Yeah, that's a really good question. And the other question too, the question, let me rephrase it, is how do you measure the ROI on a website or Facebook or any digital social form of marketing? Really the tough one is traditional. How do you measure the ROI on a billboard or newspaper ad? Well, the easiest way to do that, of course, is traditional, is to take, whether it's a billboard or an ad, use a newspaper ad, use a QR barcode or shortened bit.ly link to drive people over to the internet. Wherever you drive them to, whether it's Facebook or particularly to a web page, you can check. Okay, here, for example, you got a billboard and you want people to come over to look at some information about a product launch. Create a unique page that's unique with no links to it other than the one that you put on the billboard at the newspaper advertisement. That way, when people look at the advertisement, whether it's a billboard or newspaper, and they click on the link or shoot the barcode, it takes them to this page. Now you can look at the time of day that you get the most hits, so you know when that billboard or newspaper is the most effective. You can look at where the hits are coming from, and only the number of visitors that went to that page are a direct result of that advertisement, because no one else knew that that page even existed. So now you're checking and measuring everything. If you had multiple newspaper ads in different newspapers around the country, simply create a web page for each one of those newspapers and just monitor the amount of traffic. Now, the same thing is true on your own web pages. You can, well, I do it all the time. I just sent out an email blast to about 20,000 people, which led them to several places, to my Facebook, LinkedIn, downloading a book, and my website. All email programs, email service providers like GetResponse is a great one, will monitor all the click-throughs. So I can tell you at the end of the campaign how many people opened it, how many people clicked on my webpage, how many people clicked and friended me on Facebook, how many people downloaded my ebook, because all that information is available either in the dashboard of my WordPress site or my Google Analytics. So I know exactly which campaign is generating which of the best returns on investment. So email happens to be free, so I don't monitor it as closely, only for effectiveness. But if I was doing newspaper ads and I was spending a lot of money, I would want to monitor that by the hour, by the geographic location. So yeah, that's the cool thing about the internet. Everything goes through a server, and just by being a little bit creative, you can measure everything just by being creative. That's a great question. Glad you asked that question. Let's see. Lesson was very interesting. Thank you very much. Thank you for hanging in here with me. I really appreciate the opportunity to share it with you. Working with Moscow Business College, that's been a real honor for me. Okay, so thank you. Okay, so it looks like I've answered all the questions. So we're going to wrap up this webinar. Again, my name is Lon Safko. Please feel free to download these slides from lonsafko.com. And also a great personal gratitude goes out to the Moscow Business College for hosting these 3 webinars. Be sure to go back and replay some of these webinars because they're going to have them on demand. And I want to thank each and every one of you personally for coming out here today. Thank you very much.